the incomparable Charlene. I'm going to go ahead and pin you and spotlight you. Welcome, Charlene.
Thanks, Haley. It was so good. Here we go. I'm going to unmute myself. All right, everybody. Well, it is so exciting. It's the third day of the WEN Summit. And of course, you guys definitely have miles and miles of pages of things to do. And today, my presentation is going to focus specifically on closing the deal. And so when you're marketing and selling, closing the deal is what I consider the most important part of the whole funnel. If you don't close anyone, really was not an effective funnel. And so let's just get really clear on a recap. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to invite two people from the WEN Summit to take the hot seat so that I can directly answer questions about your funnel, your close, anything to do that you've been working on the last 3 days. And I know yesterday, how many of you actually took the challenge to create a stop doing list for either your marketing or sales? Okay, Tiff, definitely. I love that. I know some of you in the chat were like, oh yeah, I need to stop doing all these things. I appreciate you actually taking action. You know, you can read a book, but you could never learn anything unless you actually do it. That's the irony of it all. I love that, Grace. Awesome. She's like, I started my list this morning. At least you started. You know, half the time people say, I'm going to get to it all. If you don't start, you never really do. Have you ever met someone who's like, I'm going to get it perfect before I ever start? And 5 years have passed, 7 years have passed, and they still haven't gotten anywhere. And so my invitation to you is to take action on the things that are the takeaways. And hopefully you're going to be more effective and more, I consider, more successful as an entrepreneur. So for those who are just hopping on today, I want to introduce myself. I'm going to share screen throughout my presentation. And it's not really that hard with what we've done and experienced over the last 3 days. It's starting. And I think that's kind of the irony of it all. It's just to start and kind of go through that. So let me see, I'm share screen. It's just not working here. Let's see. Well, you know, we're going to just work the slides and we're going to do it this way. All right. So again, for everyone who's just hopped on today, I'm definitely thrilled to be here, been part of the WEN community for many, many years. Haley and I have done a lot of things side by side and just appreciate the opportunity to be here. My promise to you is that you're going to walk away from this presentation to stop wasting any money or effort, time. You're going to work smarter, not harder, and you're going to get what you want. And that's the goal of my presentation today. And if you've been here for all of the 2 days that I've spoke, put in the comments, have you gotten anything that has been valuable, and have I kept my promise from the last 2 days of presenting? I want you to get that out of that. If I'm not delivering, I want you to tell me that too, because then I need to step it up and deliver more. So if you've gotten 1 to 2 things out of the last 2 days, put it in the chat, because other people who've hopped on today are probably trying to catch up. And of course you're looking for the recording, so that would be great. So who is in the room? Some of you are solopreneurs. Oh, thanks, Steph, you're so kind. Some of you are solopreneurs. Some of you are speakers. Some of you are authors. Some of you are running agencies. Some of you are consultants. Wherever you are in the process of entrepreneurship, I can guarantee that this is the place you're supposed to be right now for the right reasons. And hopefully you'll be able to take away the right things you need. But in the room, I speak specifically to certain businesses and certain industries, because you have to know that there are small adjustments in every industry. When you're speaking, there's small adjustments to your funnels. If you're an author, you need to use your book in a different way than you would if you're a speaker. So there's a lot of different things, but who's in the room is who I want to serve today. My why, for many of you, I don't know if you picked this up over the last 2 days, but some of the benchmarks of being an entrepreneur is what you can do to give back. I took my family, not only my family, but my nieces, nephews, my employees who were there in Florida, my parents, and all of our extended family and two brothers, and we went to Disney World for a week. And that was a benchmark. I was making memories. You know, I've been busting my butt and working this hard, but I finally was able to take everyone on a full-fledged vacation. And those are benchmarks and highlights of my life. Additional to that, you know, I have 2 wonderful children who are adulting now. I adopted 2 children, brother and sister of a 5-set sibling group. And I did that as a single entrepreneur. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't an entrepreneur and had the drive to run my own business and be able to grow. And now my children have benefited from that. And I've benefited from that. Another win of what's my why is I've had people always tell me I couldn't do this. I had a very successful lady who told me, one, you're brown, you're female, you should be barefoot and pregnant, and you should just sit back and be happy and not try to be so driven and not try to have a couple of companies and not do the things you're setting for. And I looked at her and I said, well, that's just giving me permission to do what I want. And so I taken those setbacks or maybe those worries or stresses, and I'm hoping that you can do that too as an entrepreneur. You need grit. You need definitely thick skin. If you get hurt by feelings easily, maybe work on that, because you're not going to be, I guess, in the entrepreneur space, you're not going to last long. And so my why has been wrapped up in serving others and proving to other people that you can do it. And I've proven that to myself. And so now it's even easier. Our company, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I have multiple companies and multiple partnerships across the country. But our marketing firm has been built on relationships. We've never run a single ad, not because we don't need to or want to. It's just we get referrals from clients and other people who love us and work with us, and they send us clients and our clients send us clients. And so we've been very fortunate and blessed to have that experience, and we work our guts out. If you know our clients, they'll tell you that she rolls up her sleeves and her team does that. I have employees, full-time, part-time, contractors. My full-time staff gets medical and full benefits. A lot of employers don't do that, and I don't feel that's fair. I think you're a part of a team and they should benefit just as much as I do as an owner. So I don't want you to feel like you're never going to get there. I just want you to know that it's a process. So let's get into the funnel. So the first step of the funnel in this 3-day series, I kind of talked about the big picture. We broke it down a little bit yesterday. And then today we're going to talk specifically on marketing that is for closing the deal. So when you highlight and underline that on your paper or your computer or whatever you're writing with, I want you to pay specific attention to these strategies, because it's about closing the deal. I know you'll love to generate thousands of leads. It doesn't matter. If you don't close a deal, why are you in business? I know you want to give your heart away. I know you want to serve everyone. I know you want to hug everything. I get it. But if you're not closing deals, you're not in business. Like, that's kind of the irony, right? I had one person tell me, "Sure, I hate sales." I'm like, then you shouldn't be in business. Because if you can't sell, you're not going to be in business. It's just going to be a really expensive hobby or itch. I don't know what it is, but you've got to be willing to close the deal. So I love that. Yes. No money, no business. Yes, Catherine, that's kind of an obvious, right? Like, why are you going to work? Why are you doing the things you're doing? So marketing in the funnel for the close, here's a couple of things. One, what do you actually sell? When someone gives their pitch, and they say all these other things, but they forget to say the thing that they sell, the pitch can go flat. So you have to get clear when you're closing a deal, especially with your marketing, leading with that. You need to focus on what do you sell, okay? So how many of you, and put it in the chat, how many of you, if you're number one, you sell a product? If you're number two, you sell a service. And if you're number three, you sell both. So put that in the chat, because I want to tailor. Okay, got a lot of twos. Yep, service, definitely. Okay, I see that, Janet. C3, awesome, a hybrid. Got it. Okay, so let me focus on that. So when you are selling a service, this is the pain you cure. Remember my example yesterday? People buy Tylenol because they have a headache. And why do people buy Tylenol? Because they have a problem they need to solve. So when you are selling your product physically, you want to focus in on the pain that it solves. Okay, I'll give you an example. So I'll use Meg because I love Meg, and I love the fact that she's on Haley's team. One of the biggest problems is that when you are selling a product, you are selling something that's either need or want. So if you are selling a need, then your copy and your content and all of your marketing efforts have to go towards the need. But people want something, that means that they're going to buy a Louis Vuitton purse that's $3,000 that they don't really need, but they want it. So you have to be able to be clearly defining what you're selling especially in a product, the need and want. You have to look at maybe a competitor or someone else who sells the same kind of product and understand, why does their customer buy it? Understand the buyer's journey, because you need to close them before in the marketing so that when they come to you for the sale, they're automatically going to work with you. Okay. So who else sells your product? And I'll use this as an example. So you might have the same white t-shirt, like my example yesterday, right? The different stores sell the same shirt at different prices because you know their customer. So if you're going to sell a product, remember, you might want to have a guarantee like return in 30 days. You might want to have 100%, satisfaction. Write that on the website, do it whatever they're going to see. Also, if you're selling a product, you want to be very, very clear on what the story is about the product. A lot of you who sell custom made items, you want to tell the story of why you're selling it, because people will buy the story. Remember, sell the story, not the product. The product is an afterthought. The product is a natural result of them hearing your story. Okay. Service providers. Oh, I love you guys. You guys are the best. We all, especially a lot of us in entrepreneurship, we just start off with an idea and we can serve someone. And that's what's so powerful. But here is the dilemma. The price of the service has to deal with the pain that you're solving. Can someone write that in the chat? Because I want that to be bold, highlighted. I want it to be on Las Vegas Strip with sunshine behind it. I don't care, or lights. You have to remember that when you're serving someone, what is it, the pain that you're solving for them? Is it time? Right? Is it expertise? Are you saving them? Thank you, Catherine. Are you saving them years of experience and having to go get a degree because of your experience and expertise? A lot of people miss that part. Okay. When you're solving the pain, thanks, Grace. When you're solving the pain, they go, you know what? Your product's worth $297. I love that. Now, here's the hardest thing. Thanks, yeah, I love that. You have to remember to solve, thanks, Tony, solve the pain. Here's something else. Coaches, a lot of you are coaches and consultants and kind of a hybrid, right? Business mentor. The person wants speed to their solution. I'll give you an example. Oh, Tiff, definitely. The fact that you guys are putting it in the chat tells me that you're taking what I'm given and you're putting it into you, and that's what I want. When you're in this role of coaching, and you have to be able to see in their mind how fast you can solve their problem. I'll give you an example. The other day, new client we onboarded, he said he had been working on his content opening line pitch for 6 months. He said, Char, do you know how much time I've wasted? I'm like, well, I don't know. He goes, Char, in our 10-minute conversation, what took me 6 months of stress and worry and overwhelm and never closing a deal, you solved in 10 minutes. I said, yeah, it's because I have enough experience, enough education, enough training, and enough flow of being in the business myself. Someone said that earlier. We love business owners who try to coach who never had a business. I know, isn't the irony? So you have to think, what are you going to do to solve their pain, especially my service providers? You have to think of what their pain is. Stop trying to, and I know this is terrible, stop worrying about all the fluff. Focus on the pain and let your pricing satisfy the pain that you're curing for them. Okay. That is so critical in any of your marketing. If they're trying to overcome maybe depression or stress or worry, is it causing them to not have friends? Is it causing them to not have relationships? What does that pain cost them? Loneliness. It might cost them jobs. It might even cost them, I hate to say this, this might even cost them their entire net worth. You just don't know what the pain will cure. So you have to be clear when you are marketing yourself, what is the pain that you're trying to solve? That is the essence of the close. Remember, I like all your fluff, guys, but if you can say it in 2 sentences, stick with the 2 sentences. Stop trying to be all flowery and all pretty. Who cares about that? Solve the problem. That is the strategy behind the close when you are marketing. That will hit the bullseye every single time. Thanks, 70. I love that. Yeah. So good, right? You're like, sure, just say how many, why build a funnel? If you're not going to solve the problem, I don't even know why you're building a funnel. you should stop, because you're obviously missing the point. You're here to close people. You're here to sign up people. You're here to serve people. Okay. Okay. So let's take someone from the room who wants to have the hot seat. Someone volunteer, take yourself off the mic, get in the room, and let's help you. This is the hot seat. And you can unmic yourself. I can't see everyone the way everyone can see it. So definitely unmute yourself. Okay. Tiff, go ahead. Jump in.
Okay, thanks, because I really appreciate this. Okay, what do you want to know? What do you want me to tell you? Where are we going?
So let's ask a question. Clarity around your marketing,
Okay.
around your pain, right? We talked about it yesterday, so I know your
We did.
buildings. That's
I am
critical.
building.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to solve the pain for people, that they will be able to make decisions with efficiency, effectiveness. This pain of, at the end of the day, time slips away and I didn't do things, and it happens every day, and I'm sick of it because, oh my God, when you said if you're not closing, you don't have a business. I'm like, exactly.
Okay, so let's
great.
start with 3 things. Write this down. And I'm
Yep.
sure you just asked the question that everyone else in the room had a question to. So don't even worry about it. You probably serve someone else. The first thing is, what I heard with you is time. There are 4 motivators that people want more of. Time is one of them. Okay. It's not a pain to waste time, because either they were self-soothing themselves, either they were coping, right? What are procrastinators? It's a self-coping mechanism. Okay. It's a way for them to deal with the stress. So wasting time isn't the pain. It's what time can do, right? Do you want to look 3 years from now, 2 years from now? That's a future pace sale, and that doesn't usually close really well because people can't control it. So in the essence of the close, in this first step, Tiff,
Yes.
and anyone else, talk about what they can control. If I can get you to take action 1 hour a day on building a business that can help you change the direction of your career, how much is that worth to you? I hope everyone wrote that down, because Tiff, guess what that's worth?
That's worth it.
And that's all you're telling them. Take control of what they can control right now with your accountability, with your coaching, with your focus, with your dialing in that laser focus of solving their problem right now. Okay. Second thing, and this is for all of my coaches, consultants, everyone in the world who wants to serve the world. I love it. I want to hug you. Second thing is, you want to disqualify them. And Jan, I built this on your hot seat yesterday. You want to disqualify them because you don't want to drag them around. You know, coaches get a bad rap when their clients don't want to take action. That's a bunch of crap. Sick and tired of that. So you got to just tell them, hey, I don't want to work with people I've got to drag, convince. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to kick your butt and be brutally honest with you so you can get where you want to go. So Tiff, the more you disqualify them in your content in the start of the funnel, the easier it is to close them.
Wow.
Third thing, and this is a gift to you and everyone else because you're brave enough to say, Char, how do I do this? You've got to ask for the sale in your marketing. Okay. Say, this is how much it costs to work with me because the result I'm going to get to you, I know you will get. But you've got to do the work. And I only want to work with people who want to work. I want to be a partner with you in your business. So you have to ask for the sale. That is so hard for people, especially my service oriented. I don't know why, but we get afraid to ask for, where's your credit card? I need to charge you $5,000. There you go. It's just like at Walmart. They're not afraid to ask you for your card. So why are you afraid to ask for it when you're closing someone on services that they need because they have a pain? So Tiff, how was that? Did I help you?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else? One more. We'll take one more because the marketing should be closing the person before they even get to you. Anyone else? I can't see everyone because of the layout. So y'all have to just unmute yourself and be like, I got a question. Okay,
I'd love to go. I'd love to go.
Hey, go. Tell me.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
So I would love to get some help. I've been trying to rewrite the copy on my website, and my perfectionism has just been like, it's been like pulling teeth. And I know it's hard to write for yourself, but you know, I love working one-on-one with people. I love my group, but I love the magic of one-on-one because we can go deep and we can get them in so many places. So I guess my question is, just if you have any guidance about copywriting about some of the work. It's just,
Okay.
it's
No
hard.
worries. That's okay. Look at that, guys. She's asking the question that half of you want to ask, but y'all don't want to ask it. So Elaine, I'm going to park that for just 1 second. I'm going to repeat the number 4. So when Tiff's question was like, okay, Char, I want to close. And I said, hey, ask for the sale. The 4th part of that is your close in the funnel should say, what is it going to expect them to do in order to work with you? So is it signing up for your program? Is it emailing them? Is it setting it? Like for me, my funnel is, I want to talk to you. I don't want you to send me 5,000 emails because you know what? I'm not trying to read that. You want to talk to me?
Right.
I want to talk to you. Why not? If I'm going to coach you, if I'm going to build a funnel for you, if I'm going to market you, if I'm going to get you on stage with Richie Norton, I better know if I like you. I'm not opening up my personal freaking Rolodex so that you could be like, oh, awkward. Like that's not going to work. Not going to work. So I hope that helped everyone. So Elaine, let's go to you. So Elaine, this is very common. I want you to just hug yourself at night, hug your website. It's a pain in the freaking butt. So don't even worry about it. Okay. Here's the 2 things I would just coach you real quick so that you can stop getting the perfectionism in the way. 1, ask someone who didn't close, what's wrong with your website?
Right.
Because they obviously checked your website. Okay. And I would even go to the lengths of someone who's like, hey, can you read my website? Tell me what it's about. If you're adding too much fluff because you're afraid that there's too much white space, then obviously they're getting confused on what you're selling.
Right.
Just tell them this is what I sell. Okay, that's the first thing. Ask someone who didn't close why. And they'll tell you a lot of times. And you know what? That's okay. That's feedback. Feedback is the freaking food of champions, guys. Let me just tell you.
Yep. It's the bomb.
Okay. Second thing. So when you look at a website, I want everyone to write this down. It's like a business card. It just validates that you're a real business. Okay. So don't try to, I spent $15,000.
So don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. But here's actionable items. Because Elaine, like us and everyone, you want to control something. It's just normal.
Right.
Okay. So my first website was $15,000. And that was my first business, made $60,000 in the first 3 months. My clients were Starwood and Four Seasons. Okay. So they were very high end. I spent the money because the kind of client I was attracting needed to look and feel a certain way. So if you're trying to attract a certain client, remember, you need to talk like them. You need to look like them. You need to feel what they're feeling as they're trying to solve their pain.
Right.
Okay. Because a lot of times, guys, I don't care. Use Wix, use whatever. It doesn't matter. I got websites on all different kind of things because of what I'm trying to do. The problem is you want to keep it as much as possible focused on your promise, what pain you solve, and 3, what action they need to take in order to work with you. If reviews is something that's important, like I get endorsements on my LinkedIn, right? And it is awesome. Great. I love it. Hug it. But I know that those endorsements are critical for the kind of clients I'm closing.
Right.
Right. My website is all about the services we do, because when they come to me with their pain, they just need someone to take over the work because they're too stressed out and they're forgetting what they're doing. So Elaine, I hope that kind of deep dived into kind of going focused.
Yeah, it helps. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank
I love
you.
that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
And call to action. Yep. That's great, guys. I love the chat. All right. So let's talk about the sales side of the funnel. You know, I love closing clients because I know I'm going to serve them. I disqualify my client if I got to freaking drag you, if you're negative, if you're using this as a moment to tell me about all your ex-husband's problems, like we aren't working together. I know that's like terrible, but like, I don't want to work with someone like that. I got my own things to deal with. And if I have a client is not going to do their work because their ex-husband pissed them off, I mean, that's why your business isn't growing. You're too worried about all the other things that don't matter. Okay, so let's talk about the close. And remember, someone who's brave enough to ask a question, I want you to. So let me go over it. here are a couple of things when you're closing high ticket items. Now, I always want to hug you at night when you're just starting off with your $97 thing, because you're just like, but that's what my customer is going to buy. Don't worry about the customer. What solution are you going to provide? Is it $247? Is it $997? Whatever it is. But don't sell it because, oh, that's what the customer is going to buy it for. That's the kind of customer you're going to get engaged with you. They're going to only buy and give you $27 kind of effort. Make sense? I love that you fill your lead list, and I love that you want to put all this effort into building a massive list. Can you really service 5,000 clients? In the chat, I want you to put down realistically how many clients you actually want in a whole year. And if I see 10,000 clients, I think you're ridiculous. Right? Mike, I love that. 10. Janet, 8 to 10, because you know you're going to give 100% to them. So stop trying to worry about a 5,000 lead list. Don't get crazy. Right? Boom, $3,000 a month. That's what I'm going to talk to today, Mike. I'm going to get on that with this closed presentation. Stop trying to close 5,000 people. I don't know what you're paying attention to. It's ridiculous. Okay. Sorry, just too real for my own good, just kind of telling you how I think and feel, because people get into business, especially in the online space, and they're like, sure, I'm going to close all these people. No, you're not. You have time for 10 people, and that's max, because it takes you that much work. Okay, so let's focus. High paying clients. So here's first thing I want to make a disclaimer. Some of your clients can start off at 5,000 and then go to 15 and then go to 120 and go to 180 and more. Remember, don't worry about closing a client 180. Just get familiar with closing a client at $5,000 or even $3,000, right? Your MRR mentality, your monthly reoccurring revenue. Okay. Monthly reoccurring revenue is so that you can stay focused and have the freedom to build your business. If you're always worrying about the next sale, you're going to be stressed out and you're going to hate your business. Okay. So focus in on what's really going to set you free so that you can focus on the 10 clients that you want to just pour into. All right. Because it isn't about 5,000 clients. It's about the 10 in front of you. All right. Okay. Here we go. First, this is going to be heartbreaking. If you cannot close people in person, there is no way you're going to close them online. Let's just get really real. If you can't ask for the sale when they're sitting in front of you, do you think online you're going to have that much easier time? Totally impossible. So learn how to close them in person, okay? And if you can close them in person, then building the funnel on this back end is going to be easier. And here's why. When you're trying to close someone for $3,000 and you can't ask for the credit card, it's really hard to do that, right? Because you're like, oh, Char, do I need to give them extra stuff? How many of you have done that? I had this one client, she tried to do all this extra free stuff. And I'm like, now you have how much work to do for $3,000? And she's like, Char, be quiet. I'm like, I'm just saying, if they can solve their problem in 12 sessions because you're hyper-focused and you're available for them, because you're giving them 100% of your attention, just stick to the price. Don't worry about the other stuff, okay? So if you're already closing in person, awesome, I love that. When you're online, then what you need to do is take that in person and move that into your online space, whether it's your business card, your website, your LinkedIn, your reviews, your endorsements, your networking, your speaking. Right, keep it simple. But here's the problem. So when we were in person, our team has been completely remote. Like when COVID hit, we tripled our revenue because the world finally accepted remote work and accepted remote coaching and business consulting and marketing and all of these services. But we already had the transition happening so that people could see that it didn't matter if they're in Dallas or if they're in Florida or in upstate New York or in Albany, that we could help them. So you want to make it very seamless, right? You want to say, I do provide virtual, remote services, because they need to know that you're able to work on that scale and level. You want to also say, hey, I'm available at these times and these hours, because in the sale, they're thinking, how do they get to work with you? And if they're not, I'm not trying to be this person, but if you're in Pacific Standard Time and your client's in the East Coast and you're not willing to wake up early, you probably shouldn't attract East Coast clients. That's a function of delivering service. So your website, your content, what you're sharing has to say in the close, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to help that client. Because guess who's watching? The people who don't click on your dang post, the people who don't chime in when you do a live video. People are still buying you. They don't need to engage with you that way. Some people don't want to do that. Sometimes they'll just call you, set an appointment, and that's how they work through your funnel when you're going from in person to a virtual space, okay? 2, there's 3 levels of buying. One is they need their problem solved today. That means they have a pain, like a headache, or like my example yesterday about a broken arm. You're going to go to the hospital to get your broken arm fixed right now. Okay. That is going to be based on what I consider you and your marketing efforts in the close of the sale before they ever come to you. And here's some of the problems. Sometimes you might say, Shar, I can't take everyone. I don't have enough staff. I'm by myself. Then create a waiting list so that they know that when they work with you, that you've got time for them and that they can go right into your schedule. I have some clients who literally, they're like, Shar, I have a problem right now. Great. We're going to add this much to your monthly MRR for me. For you, we'll take care of it. No problem. Don't even think about it. We solve the problem before it even becomes a problem. Okay. Second thing, especially the 3 levels of buying. Second is the person who's on the fence. How many of you guys have people who are on the fence? Oh man, Darlene, isn't that a pain in the butt? They can't make a decision to save their life. So offer some, sweet deal. Like if you pay now in full, I will discount your price by XYZ. Or if you want to, and this is not fun, but sometimes you have to take the sale away. You have to say, you know what? I love the fact that we've discovered, what your problems are and what solutions you need. And I would love to circle back in a week, set the date and time of the appointment. And then when you get to that call and they're like, I still don't know, you go, you know what? That is so great. And I'm here to help you and run as fast as you can and want to solve your problem. But I know, just like you, I can't just keep waiting to figure this out. And I want to serve you. So when you're ready to serve, you can call me back. Don't worry about losing the sale. Disqualify them even in the sales close process, because remember, they're just sitting on the fence. They're not going to make that decision any more faster. And maybe it's more of like a payment plan, or some of y'all got to stop. Like, okay, pay me this amount. You got to just be clear. So be clear about how you want your money to come through you. Okay. If you're going to say, I'm going to offer a payment plan, know that before you get on the phone call, because maybe that's what they need to hear. Sometimes when they don't close, you might ask them, hey, what, I thought we were really jiving. I really thought that we were really connecting. Like, what was it that made you pause or hesitate? And they'll tell you, oh, you know what? The price of it was just too high and I need a better payment plan. I'm sure you can do it. But you have to remember that you have to have a plan before you get on the call. Don't just be willy-nilly like, oh, just go with the WEN, whatever you think. You have to be really clear so that you can adapt to what your client is telling you on the phone or on a Zoom or however you do that. Okay. The third thing, and this is probably the worst, you guys are building these amazing lists and no one's buying from you. You can totally play the game of consistency. No problem there. You can totally run the ads. Love that. Just know that don't spend their time focusing on the ones that aren't hot, hot on your tail to solve their problem. You guys sometimes focus on those people, but they're not ready to close. So why are you focusing on them so much? Focus on the ones who are in front of you. Okay. All right. So as I wrap up, I'm going to pick whoever wants to come in. You can take the hot seat and we will talk about closing the sale.
Well, I would actually like to ask you.
Yes, go ahead.
So I had a situation actually with a client. I've been doing business with them for quite some time. And it got to a point where I pretty much sent 6 months of invoices, which is horrible because I should have been sending them monthly. I had gotten very sick, basically, so I've been struggling with some health issues, and which has kept me from, I guess, being really proactive with my clients and just being on top of them. And I fear that they have kind of like lost, I don't want to say lost respect, but lost the confidence, I should say, in me. So how do I go back to try to win them back over or fix this somehow. Like I've thought about maybe having a meeting. I've thought about maybe sending email, doing some remarketing. I'm just not sure how to go about or regaining a client or keeping one from leaving.
You know, Patricia, you're super authentic. And I think there's something to be said that sometimes we're afraid of being human. And I'm not trying to make that your excuse. I'm just saying sometimes you have to say, I'm sorry, I dropped the ball. Because when you're in business, whatever we're struggling with, the person really doesn't care. They have a business to run and they've got to figure out their problem. So here's a couple of mechanics. So I had a client do a cash, what is that called? A chargeback, $9,000. I asked her, hey, how come you did a cash back? I need you to still pay. She said, I don't have the money. And I'm in my full right to put her through collections. She made this big hoopla trying to say, yeah, you know, I don't want to pay. And I was like, oh, that's too unfortunate, because the integrity of the person, right, was in question. But I had to check myself and say, all right, she did a chargeback. She doesn't have any money, but she's still using all of my marketing, all of my selling, everything I'm doing. And I said, what is it worth to me to go after that? Right. And we checked the law. I had my attorneys check what the California law was and all this stuff. And he said, Char, can you make that $9,000 back, or you're going to go chase this person? I said, well, you're probably right. He goes, but for future, you know, get a credit card on file. Just tell the person, hey, we're not going to charge unless you missed a payment. Put some rules in place. 2, asking for the money. You know, you just felt like, man, you sure like our marketing, but you sure don't want to pay us. And that was kind of a sting for me, because I was pissed. I was like, how's this person still getting away with all the stuff I told them? And they still do it, but they don't want to pay. I had to remember it wasn't about me anymore. But my responsibility was first to set up a system. And Patricia, I don't know where you are in your revenue. You know, if you can have a bookkeeper admin for like 5 hours a week who can start that process, sit down and write that out. Just for the mechanics of your business, you probably want that if you're going to grow quickly. 2, have some policies in your contracts. You know, have that credit card on file if they miss a payment and that's just automatically charged, or put them on a reoccurring payment. So some of you guys need to set up your Stripe or whatever you have, just so that icky conversation. A lot of times when you're the solopreneur, you're like the banker plus the collector plus the follow-upper. And 3, this is probably where it hurts a lot too, Patricia, for a lot of people who struggle when they're trying to like recapture a client. You know, you have to kind of figure out, and I know this is terrible, but be human and say, hey, I'd love to circle back and see where you are right now. Do you have time for a 30-minute call just to check in and see, oh, is there anything that we can help with? Get them on the call and then say, oh, it sounds like you've got a lot of growth. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like, you know, we can help you. Great. This is the thing. When you're the solo entrepreneur and you get sick and there's no one there, you need to have a backup plan before it happens. And sometimes it's like a revenue problem. Sometimes it's like this lack of like understanding that you need to put in revenue in order to benefit from it. So think about that strategy. Have an admin part-time or somebody that can help, because everyone gets sick. But the problem is that you can manage those things when it happens, right? My team can step in if I take a flight in the middle of the morning and my people need me, my team is already there to respond to them. So I don't have to miss 3 hours of phone calls or texts or emails. I hope that helps, Patricia.
Yeah, it does. And that's one of the things that I'm thinking about, is to just get them on a call. Unfortunately, I mean, I am all paid up. I am. And I did do what you said. I said, listen, Jack Ball has some issues. This is going on, not to get into my personal. I did say to them, I know it's not your business. It's my, you know, my problem. And I appreciate, you know, them staying with me. But I do feel like they're leaning like, you know, maybe we should go with someone else. And I'm like, I don't want that. So I'm trying to figure out how to keep them and how to retain them. And I've looked into some CRM software that people in my industry had used and had thought about. And I'm thinking about implementing that when booking my girls and doing the follow-ups and things like that. It's just like, things have gotten very overwhelming for me. Yes. And I am that one solo entrepreneur, like you say. And yeah, sometimes we need to ask for help. And I have thought about bringing someone on board to help me, but you know, it's very difficult for everyone's schedules. And you know, when they say no one does your job better than you, and it's hard, I guess, to just put that trust 100% in someone else and say they're going to do it just as good as you and try to get it done and know that things are going to kind of fall by the wayside and be some holes and things like that.
Well, and this is the thing, and I'll wrap up with this. Whatever that trust issue is, there's something going on inside of you, right? Someone let you down in the past. Forgive them and forget it, right? Or maybe they failed and maybe they did it crappy, but that's part of the process. I'll tell you, so I won a $36,000 client, and what I did for 2 weeks was said, I will show you what we can do to solve your pain. And he said, okay, got him on stage, did a couple of things that he really, really needed that no one else could do. We won the contract and we won $36,000 for just 2 weeks of just doing what we said we would do. So maybe that's something to prove to them that you can do that, and start off with something you can do. Don't try to be like this hero, just try to do things that you can do. Make sense? All right. Well, I appreciate that. I'm sure, Patricia, someone in the room had the same question, you know, and these experiences help us all be better. All right. So in closing, and again, thank you, Haley, for allowing me to speak for the last 3 days. Please know that your experience comes at a cost. When you are solving problems for everyone else and your business needs it, you need to be able to say, how much is it worth to me to get the solutions that I need for my own business? I invite you to participate in our 5-day LinkedIn challenge, where we guarantee that you'll get leads from LinkedIn. Connect with me. I'll send this over to Haley and to Meg so that they can put that out there, and connect with me, participate, engage, talk. But really, at the end of the day, guys, I invite you to take 1 to 2 things from my talk today and from the last couple of days and actually execute them. And I look forward to talking to you and connecting with you. And Haley, thanks again for allowing me to take this time to share what I've earned and learned over the 25 years of being an entrepreneur. So thank you so much, Haley.
Thank you. There was a couple of questions.
Okay.
So can you tell us how you phrase the policy about credit card on file?
So we had to get creative on this, okay, guys, because some states have some rules and blah, blah, blah. And my attorney's like, okay, Char, you got to do it this way. This is how we phrase it. And I'll paraphrase it because I'm not like sitting at my desk. For those times that perhaps the payment is late or your credit card doesn't process or go through for your monthly reoccurring charge from us, we have a policy to keep a card on payment. And after 30 days, if we don't receive payment, we are able to cancel your services. So they're like, oh yeah, sometimes my card doesn't run, or sometimes I'm late, or sometimes I'm not thinking about it. So it kind of makes it like, we're here to help you figure out your policy. Here's the other thing that my attorney said. And I know, Tony, you messaged me, so I'm going to say this part. It is critical in placement. So when they're signing your contract or services, make sure it's a part of that line that's right before they sign, because they're going to read that. And you want it to be clear. It's not trying to be sneaky. You're just trying to be super clear that in case of mispayment, we will keep your card on file to process, and we will notify you that we are going to process your card for the monthly payment that's due. Also, we request the ACH information so that we can actually request payment. I know this is terrible, but that's just part of the process. If you guys run payroll or any of you experience that, when we run our payroll, they pull it out of our account
Right.
within the 2-day process. And so my attorney said that is a very similar strategy a lot of times for business and consultants, specifically because we sometimes have to go chase for the money. And I was done chasing money. I was like, this is crappy. You do all the work, but we also follow the rule. Like if you don't make a payment in 30 days, we revisit with the client, say, hey, we're so excited and thrilled that you love us and you're wonderful. But if we don't get a payment on this phone call or on this Zoom, we're going to go ahead and stop services until you do. We make it really sticky for the client because we know that we're running as fast as our clients are. And so we don't want them to feel like, oh, this is a hard conversation. If they're having a hard time, they tell us because we're weekly talking to them, we're weekly meeting with them. But if they're having a hard time, We should know about that before they miss their payment. Does that make sense, everybody? Haley, does that help?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because that's just real life, guys. And sometimes
Yeah.
if you're selling to those kind of people, and Haley and I have had this conversation, sometimes if you're selling to those kind of people who are struggling, then you need to have a very open conversation and say, hey, I can see the last couple of times it was really late. What's going on? Well, I need on there. Or like sometimes for me, when we're hiring more people, it's hard because one person's task is different from another. And we're like, hey, got to make sure we don't drop the balls on this. So you've got to really participate in that step. And if it's money conversation, that's really hard. Then it's deeper than just what's my policy on keeping their card on file. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It has nothing to do with the card on file. It has everything to do with you asking for money.
Charlene,
Absolutely.
they tell you, okay, the 30 days is here and they say, well, I need an extension. But obviously you're risking being in the same position of them not paying. How do you handle that? Do you just go ahead
Say,
and
can you,
say,
nope. You say, hey, can I get a percentage of it down? Can you at least make a $500 payment today? Oh yeah, no problem. Sometimes they're not telling you something, Shu. You have to ask, hey, so what can I do to make it easier for you? Can you pay $500 today? Awesome.
oh,
Then it's not, the thing is you don't want to have that awkward conversation. You want a buffer. So that's why I'm saying get an accounting person or some bookkeeper who can follow up with them. We love Stripe. We love these tools that are out there. I think those are good. Haley does that really well. Like, when she's building a website, like she's done work for us. Awesome. We're a partner with her. We are not a vendor and she's not a vendor to me. She is one of my colleagues, friends, confidants, someone I can trust. That's how you want to be with your vendors and your clients.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Let's give Charlene a round of applause. Thank you for the